On this episode of the Conscious Creator Podcast, I chat with my good friend and neighbor and co-creator of the Extremely Conscious Retreat, Trevor Turnbull. Trev and I jump into everything from conscious parenting and how we want to lead our kids and lead from our hearts, how we're looking to influence the world. Trev shares a lot about his journey in terms of going from a mastermind mindset and changing things in the way that he looks at it now, and co-creating other spaces for individuals and entrepreneurs to jump in. Trev also jumps in about talking about the journey, you know, and how it's not easy, how the journey is painful in elevating and wanting to become a better human. And, you know, this is the space that we need to embrace. So that's a huge piece we look at. And also how he's creating his dreams, how he truly is seeing everything come to life that he has dreamt and the vision that he has created. You know, him and his family are moving to Costa Rica, and he looks on the importance of that in terms of how, you know, Costa Rica isn't going to change his life because everything we desire comes from the inside. That's just one piece of his journey. Another neat piece that we talk about is our men's retreat. And at the time this was recorded, we just finished our men's retreat last weekend. So there's the attention behind that, some of the specialness of it, and what it's going to be like. So you don't want to miss this episode. There are a lot of hidden gems within and messages. And it's just a truly heartfelt episode between two humans that want to elevate one another. And our goal is to elevate many others. So check it out. And we're live. Welcome to the first ever guest episode of the Conscious Creator Podcast. Today, yes, I have a very big welcome to my good friend Trevor Turnbull. Welcome, Trev.
Yes, thanks, buddy. And I was just thinking to myself, why am I not wearing the t-shirt right now? Total fail on that one, right? I got a Conscious Creator t-shirt right here.
Then we would have been bouncing back and forth, and people would have wondered who the host is, and really it is both of us anyway.
True.
But
that's true. So there's no plans on sending Conscious Creator t-shirts to every guest before the episode so that they can wear them during that episode?
You never know. You never know. Couple years from now, 5-year plan.
There you go.
But,
there you go.
No, thanks for joining us,
Trev. T-shirts though, man.
Oh, it's bamboo. Come on, it's bamboo imports.
T-shirt. Yes.
I'm growing it in my backyard. Yeah. It's a long process. These are hand stitched.
Well, I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. We were just talking about your backyard chronicles and the videos that you're creating back there and how they're getting so much of a response. And, you know, there's magic in that backyard, man. You know, there's bamboo growing. It's
good vibes when you get your toes in the sand, right? And there's sand in my backyard where the boys play. So I get to go from sand to grass. Sometimes I feel like I'm in the beach, and that's where the inspiration just comes to me.
Nice.
Yeah. When we're not in the cold plunge, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say, just close your eyes and visualize that and make sure that you're attentive enough to not get eaten by a bear that's smashing down your birdhouses in that same backyard, which is also another story.
There is another enemy back there, Trev. I got stung by a couple bees 2 days ago because at the side of the hot tub there was a little bee's nest, and so I took a knife and I cut it down, and those things are fast. I'm going to tell you, I got one in the neck and one in the calf.
Oh, jeez. Wow. It seems like we're almost like leading into a theme of this conversation already, aren't we? About the pain, like embrace the pain. The pain will actually get you through to where you want to go. It's feeling that way.
We do know that. We do know that. Before we dive in, I do want to somewhat introduce you, Trev, because you are you're a pretty big deal, if you know what I mean.
People know me.
People know me.
Many leather-bound books.
But I won't, honestly, I won't list all of your achievements because as much as I do know you already, I did start to Google and my list got really long, way too quick, and we do only have a certain amount of time for this podcast. So, but Trev comes from an extensive marketing and sales background. He's done tons of talks all over the place and led and been involved in masterminds, both programs, launched many websites, many programs. I think he's on his second podcast, and
it's true.
Has a very decent following now on this one here, and it's also changed over the time it's launched in the short period it has been on, and so we'll get into that a little bit more as well. But yeah, it's awesome to have you, Trev. And we met, of course. We are only about 3 doors down from each other, so. Really, we could be sitting beside each other, but we figured we would do a video today because Trev's not feeling too well. But Trev was wheeling along his 2 kiddos in a stroller, if I remember correctly, with a beverage in hand, and we started chatting.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think actually back to that, I was probably wheeling the kids around with a beverage in hand too many times when we first met. Maybe you could say the same too, because I know that's one of the things that we've talked about is like, is this really serving me? It's nice, summertime and weather's nice and you're pushing the kids. It's like, I'll just throw a couple of beers in my pocket and go for a walk. But like, yeah, it never ultimately served me that well. But that is how we met. Yes, was on the mean streets of Glen Rosa.
That's kind of a path I want to go down, in fact, Trev, because we've had many conversations about the conscious lives that we live now and how we're on a mission together, and we'll get a little more into that of our co-creations and kind of the path you're on. But I would love to start this conversation somewhere we haven't talked a ton about, and that is before you're living consciously. Take us back a little bit, maybe to the messy period of when you weren't as conscious and when you weren't living every day the way you are now with your eyes wide open.
That's an interesting question, man. I know you said that you had some stuff for me here that I wasn't going to be prepared for, so I like it. And truthfully, it gets me thinking about when the kids were first born. I remember 5 years ago now, when they were first born, I was thinking to myself, am I showing up as the dad and the man that I want to be right now as an example for the kids? And I thought, no, I'm not. Like I've smoked in the past. I've chewed tobacco in the past. I've smoked cigars in the past. I never really got into the drugs that much, to be honest. But I remember when Logan was born, I said to myself, like, okay, it's time to change. And honestly, I didn't really, man. I didn't. Like I had great intentions, but I never really made the full shift to like be the greatest version of myself and be forgiving at the same time when I'm not my best. You know what I mean? But in the last 6 months, like just to condense the story aspect of it, is that I've just been very conscious. Like we keep using that word, and naturally it's on your t-shirt and in the name of your podcast, but that's really what it's become. Is like, I think when you and I first met, we were both at a point where we thought, yeah, I could be better. And I feel like I could do it myself, but I kind of feel like I need some people around me to help push me or help hold me high. And we were both seeking at that time. Right. So, yeah, that's what comes to mind, man, is like, I just hit a point where I was sick and tired of listening to myself and all my bullshit of like saying what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be, but not doing anything about it. Yeah. And I think what's really hit me, and even today, I was just talked about this today in a video that I posted. It's painful, man, like to lean into the truth of what you need to do to be the greatest version of yourself. It hurts. It's painful. It's uncomfortable. All of that. Got to learn to love it and still know that it sucks a lot of the time. Getting stung by bees. It's lonely. It is lonely. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, it is lonely. And it's easy to just double back. Yeah. No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we've had the chat of how we, as you said, we were in a similar place, right? And we were looking for that accountability partner, that person to help rise up, or call up. And we've had the conversation on your podcast that we manifested one another, right? And it was at a time that we both very much needed that other individual to call us out and up, and really just say, yeah, what are you up to? What are you up to? And know that, we wanted those answers to be better than the average.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think in what we've co-created since then and what we've individually created in our lives just in the last 6 months in particular, I've reflected a lot on it just in the last month or so, because it's very easy for us to always look at the next thing. It's like, okay, yeah, that's great, but now what? What am I going to do next? What's the next thing? What's the next piece of impact I can create? But to actually slow down and take a look and go, damn, we created a whole bunch of things that didn't exist 6 months ago. And I just put up a podcast episode today, actually talking about our retreat, and saying that logically it made 0 sense for us to pursue that. 0 sense, man. And even in this moment, we're a week away from actually hosting that first event. And I don't know when you'll publish this, but
yeah,
a week today. And there's still many pieces that are unknown. I'm getting text messages and Facebook Messenger messages and people asking me hey, when should I show up? And I'm like, it's in the documents, and we created a WhatsApp chat, but it's just part of it, right? It's of course it's going to get messy before it calms down, I guess you would say. But I love it though. I actually embrace and enjoy the chaos of it a bit. And it's nice to know when you have other people that you can do it with, that'll just be well, I guess we'll figure that out next. We need wetsuits. Shit, that lake's going to be cold. Now we got we don't have any wetsuits right now. We got to go figure that out yet too.
Yeah, it's pressure to perform, right? And I can tell you in my university days, I was definitely pulling all-nighters the night before, a 10, 15 page paper was due. And I always pulled out C pluses, but we're going to pull out an A plus here. And we have been putting a lot of intention into it for weeks. I'll tell you, any of my meditations or any of my quiet spaces for the last few weeks only lead me to one place. And it's been this retreat. And so I can tell you what's already happened. I can tell you the energy that's already there. And I can tell you with complete certainty that it's going to be incredible. And then we look at the messages, as you said, the messages we're getting. I know we got an email from someone just not too long ago, and you see the intention behind why they want to show up. Each of those messages are just so powerful. And there's a reason we're all being brought together. We're from all different walks of life, but we're all looking for something different. We're all looking to get elevated, and that's what this is going to bring.
Yeah, and we had to start, right? We had to consciously say that this is what we wanted in our own lives and move in that direction, and not without resistance too, because I know, I also said this in my podcast yesterday, both of us are busy. We each have wives and 2 boys that are under 5, and life's chaotic at the best of days in our homes. And then you run businesses, and we got jobs and clients and all of these things. And, but at the same time, I think we both felt a calling to say, no, this feels right. This feels like the right timing. We desire it. I think that was the biggest thing that hit me is I was craving this. I was craving the in-person connection, and you were too. And that's what ultimately I think drew these people into us too, because like you say, the first handful of people that we reached out to, they were like, yep, I'm in. Sounds amazing. Let's go.
Absolutely.
We were both kind of taken back a little bit.
I actually kind of this is one of the things I wanted to chat about today as well, of how we jumped into this project, okay? And a project that you have going as well, the Source Collective, right? Because we're using a lot of words and a lot of verbiage that some people would be like, are you guys serious? You put out an event that needs X capacity, that there has to be this much revenue, there has to be with kind of no plan, just knowing it's going to come together. So I would love for you to expand on this a little bit and talk about, it's important because of where you came from. Okay, because when I talk about in the beginning, all the programs you've put together, the mindset masteries, the online, the LinkedIn leads, everything you've done in the past has been, correct me if I'm wrong, but so structured, so thought out, so planned. The dollar figure wrapped around that, a reflection of the effort put in, all of these things where that's what we traditionally see in the sales space, or in any space for that matter, of something put together, right? And so I would love for you to expand on how you went from that space of doing that for years and years and creating habits and knowing your craft inside and out, essentially becoming a master at what you do, and then to where you are in these recent projects.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a complete 180 for me, and many people might not know that unless I say it out loud, which is what I've been intentionally doing for the last 30 days. We've both been doing it as a part of the Source Collective and everything that we're doing there. But yeah, it was a preconditioning of 15 plus years of entrepreneurship and mentorship and masterminds. And this is how you do things. And here's a new tool that'll hack things for you and make the sales process easier, or whatever the case might be. And it was a programming. I was literally programmed to operate that way, and it served me. Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful for this space that I dove into, and for my buddy Michael Askey, who in 2006 said, hey, this internet thing is going to be a big deal. And I was like, yeah, I use emails and stuff. And he's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. It's this is the future. And I trusted that. I trusted him, and I dove into it. So I'm grateful for all of that stuff that got me to here. But yeah, then I hit a point where, I don't know, I was just kind of getting burnt out, man, late last year in 2021. And Danielle and I had been collaborating together for the better part of 3 years, with her as a mindset mentor in some of the programs that I had run. And I could see her stepping into this higher version of herself, which quite frankly was kind of uncomfortable. There was times when I was seeing what she was doing and I was like, what is she talking about right now? And why is she operating like this? It was irritating. It was irritating straight up. Yeah, and I actually wanted to say that out loud on this pod. Yeah. And I think I just want to say that out loud right now too, because in case I forget later, but when you start to actually embrace this highest version of yourself, you will naturally irritate everything around you. Your wife, your kids, your friends, your family, your business partners, everything. They won't understand it. And I remember Danielle saying to me, man, she was like, this thing that you have envisioned to create, even though it's not clear, it already exists. You just get to believe it and step into it and know that it's already there. And I was like, what are you talking about? No, that's not how it works, Danielle. You got to reverse engineer it and build a membership site and an offer. And yeah. So it's a completely different way of thinking. And we operated that same way with the retreat and with the cold plunge stuff too, man. We just started moving and trusted.
So you're saying it wasn't an easy process. There was pain involved, our theme of pain here.
Dude, it's still painful. It's still painful. I'll say out loud actually this too, because I said it to Danielle this morning. I know that I'm still leaning into aspects of trusting that what I just said is real, because in the last week too, I've received messages and emails from some of our people that are going to attend the retreat. And when I see the messages, I think to myself, oh shit, they're going to say that they're not coming now, which is really wacky in the head, to think that. But I just said it out loud. I was like, Danielle, I have to tell you the truth that I feel like everything's going to crash around me, that this can't be real. Everything that we're dreaming is coming true right now. It's almost like I'm waiting for it to crash. And I have to course correct on that, because if I keep thinking that way and keep showing up like that, I will create that. I will manifest it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
yeah, we know how powerful that is, and it's okay to have those moments. But the fact that you're observing it and you're speaking out loud that's not it now is in itself, curving that, right? It's the constant acknowledgement of it. But that's powerful,
and it's Yeah, it's the conscious aspect. That's why I'm glad that we kind of navigated to this place, because that literally just came up this morning, man. I hadn't even told that to you, but now we're talking about it here. But it is important, I think, for people to hear that like that is the conscious decision making that we're talking about, is to not say that like, oh, you are this enlightened being and you will go on and you will create amazing things and your relationships will be incredible. It's like, no, man, this shit's messy and it's painful, and you will self-doubt, but
yeah. Well, and there's a reason that, these things are called practices, right? I've had a similar week. We talked about it, yesterday. I've had a week where I just had back-to-back chain things of going wrong constantly, and being late and this and that, and none of it all feeling out of my control. And that's because a lot of it is out of our control. But there's two ways we can take all of that, right? And we can surrender to it, which we've learned to do and are still learning to do. And every day it's a practice at doing. Or we can fight it and we can react and get frustrated and angry and shout at the world, which does nothing, but create bad vibes and gets us worked up. So it's a matter of, absolutely, as you say, we just need to have these constant conversations with ourselves and remind ourselves this is a journey. It is not a straight up, graph. It is an up, down, all around. But, if we slowly continue to do these things, we're elevating.
Yeah. And it's not to say that things can't be painless and fun and exhilarating and all of that kind of stuff. It's to just understand that there's going to be bumps along the way, and like that's, I think, one of the motivations that we created around the retreat too, was it's going to be a blast, man. Like it's going to be fun, but we're also going to lean in and realize that we're going to all go back to our lives outside of this beautiful chalet in the middle of a mountain, river, or lake, where we're eating incredible food and hanging out and doing all these amazing things. And then we're going to go back into Vancouver for a handful of people, some people in Kelowna, others coming. I think that's mostly it. It's like Kelowna and Vancouver, the people that are coming. But then what?
We got a couple from the island. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But totally, it's absolutely. It's almost like if you go, on a walkabout. Well, like Char did, right? It's reintegrating yourself, and even though we're only doing a weekend, it's going to be powerful when it's stepping back into, okay, Monday morning conference call, 8 a.m. Don't let yourself get sucked back into the wheel, the race. And let's take what we've learned and let's integrate. And that's going to be the important piece, is the follow-up. And I think that's where most of the power is going to come from in this, really, is the brotherhood that's going to be created during it, and the lasting relationships, connections, and all the takeaways. Yeah.
Well, and that's, you mentioned it earlier of like, we created each other in our lives, and naturally the universe had to align of us bumping into each other on the street. But it's the same with all these people that are coming here too. They're supposed to be there. We called them in, and how they choose to show up after this weekend will call in the next round of people as well that are also seeking this. Because that was it. Like, I know for me, I hit a wall last October, November, where I was like, this can't be it. Like, the people I'm surrounded by, the work that I'm doing, like, it's okay. But I was like, nah, this is not, like, I'm not fulfilled. I'm not inspired. I want to be inspired, man. Like, I don't want to just move to Costa Rica because I want to escape Canada. That's not the point. I want to go there because I want to live my life fully and embrace all the chaos that it's going to bring too. It's going to be nuts. I know that.
Let me ask you this: in this newfound world that we're in, right? With these, how we're looking at our lives through a new lens here, I would imagine a lot of the people that you were looking at previously are different than who you are looking at now. Like, who are some of your mentors, if you will, now in learning this new path and kind of looking forward on the path that you want to go?
Yeah, it definitely does change, because you start, it goes back to the same analogy of, your higher self already exists. You just get to believe it. It's the same thing with the mentors and the guides that I get, that I sought out and found recently too. They were already there. I just needed to listen to them, you know? And I know you and I have talked about like the evolution of Aubrey Marcus's podcast, for example, and Dr. Zach Bush and Charles Eisenstein and some of those guys that were consuming. Like, dude, a year ago, me wouldn't have even listened to that stuff. I'd be like, what the hell are these guys talking about? You know?
Yeah. And
wild. That's just a handful of examples. Yeah. But it's like, it's just the attention. It's always there for anybody. Somebody can always choose to go, oh, that's not real. I can't possibly do that. It's like, okay, cool. You have a choice, though. You can decide whether or not you want to believe something's true or not. It's your choice. Nobody else is holding you to the fire to say you have to live in this city, in that job, with this relationship, all of these things that we feel handcuffed to. It's just not true. Just have to embrace
100%. And that extends on to the universe. You know, when you talk about meditation and finding silence, that extends into the messages that we receive without having to look on our phones, in a TV, or in a book, right? If you are willing to listen and you're willing to create the silence, what you're looking for will arrive. And we both can attest to that, right? In these times that we've experienced and continue to experience of chaos and stress and all these things that can define you any which way, you know, we certainly deal with them in a very different manner today, you know, than we used to. And that's, again, if you're open to it, right?
Yeah. 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 And it's a scary space to enter too. This idea that what you believe to be true may not be at all true, or maybe only pieces of it are actually true based on your current evolution of who you are. Because that's been part of the pain for me, is to kind of face questions where I didn't know what question to even ask. But then when I finally did, and I proverbially, whatever the word is, opened that door and peeked inside, and I was like, oh shit, God. Close the door and you're like, no, didn't see that. But now I'm at the point where I'm like, no, I saw it. I heard it. I witnessed it. I felt it. All of it. We saw it with what happened with the whole trucker thing in February even, and what's been going on with the mandates and everything else too, right? It was one of those things where it made me angry, and then it made me sad, and then it made me super irritated that my family took certain stances on things that I just thought were insane. But then I had to find empathy for their position and really go deep into the underlying meaning of why they feel that way and really empathize with it. And that was the deep dive for me. It was like an exploration of death almost.
Yeah.
Which was deep, man. Like, it was scary to go down that path.
It is. And it's funny you bring that up, like the reference point. And I first had this conversation actually with Cam from InBody. And when I really first started to fire up on this journey, and I just told him, I was like, I can't go back now. I can't. I've seen it. I'm hyped. I know the limitless opportunity within this world. And he gave the metaphor to, of course, the Matrix was, well, you can choose to take the red pill or the blue pill, and it's true, right? We can go back to having our casual beers each evening. Maybe a few too many on the weekend, just chase after money and more things, and all these things that we, are taught will make us happy, that we know in the end really don't. I don't care if I live in you could give me any size house, any fast vehicle, it's going to wear off, and any amount of substance is going to lead to your demise ultimately. But this journey is a whole different ball game. It is limitless. I don't see an end to it, but all I see ahead is teachings, learnings, and from those we're able to help others and serve others, right? And that's the magic of it. And that's where I truly believe in the world today and right now, especially after the last couple of years, there's an awakening happening, and we're in the forefront of it, and we've got our eyes open, and we're looking for all these clues, and then we're able to reach back and help others do the same when they are ready.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the most grounding pieces, I think, and learnings for me over the last 6 months. And I know you and I have talked about it a lot. This idea of like, when are you ever ready to lead a community, a group, a collective, be a coach, all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, we always kind of hold ourselves to this expectation that like, well, I need to be a master at my craft, or I need to have attained X amount of hours in a certain discipline or whatever. But the truth is that what I was always desiring was I want to be down a journey and I want to bring other people with me. And I want to be a little bit ahead in certain areas, but then I want them also to be a little bit ahead in certain areas and go, oh, I've done that. Like, come with me here. That was what I was actually seeking. And that was the thing that last year when Danielle said, it already exists. And I was like, no, it doesn't, because I can't find it anywhere. And she's like, exactly. You have to create it. And then the fear comes up. It's like, well, who am I? Yeah. Who am I to do that? But it's amazing, man, when you get to that place. And I know we're both on this journey. We're calling in those people that are listening to this message and either doing one of two things, going, wow, this, I don't even know why, but these guys have got me wanting to ask questions, or these guys are freaking nuts and I need to turn this shit off. And that's the only thing that I ask of people is either you get inspired and go do something about it, or get the hell out of here. Seriously, because we don't want in between people. You know? And I don't mean that to be mean and insulting and angry. I mean it from the perspective of how I used to show up. I'd kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It was never fully committed to anything. But I don't have patience for that anymore. And I don't think the people that we attract are those people either. And if they are, it's because they're seeking to be that person that takes committed action even when they don't know the answer. Fully lean in. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Into the unknown.
Yeah, I agree. And it's amazing once we start to have these conversations. I can tell you in my world alone, the private messages I've got, or the conversations that I've sparked down at the docks in person for people that I never had any idea would be remotely close to having these types of conversations about, you know, spirituality and what they're looking for and stepping away from X, Y, and Z. But that's what we attract once we start to lean into this, right? We're giving other people the permission to do the same, and you shine a certain light when you do this. And that's why those conversations are happening. And so that's the magic of it all. But you need to continue to commit, right? And we've seen it, and it excites the hell out of me because I know you and I are just on the beginning of it. You know, in what we will create and what we have in front of us. I've seen some of it, and it's exciting.
Well, and I was just thinking about this yesterday, man. You and I haven't said it out loud to you, but I was thinking about the future retreats that we'll create. And I caught myself actually like, oh man, the one in Costa Rica is going to be incredible. And then I was like, wait a second, stay present here, because this experience that we're going through right now and the next week of what we're about to experience leading up to this event, this is it. This is what we're actually seeking. That's the feeling. It's not the future thing that's going to have, because I have no doubt Costa Rica is going to be amazing. So is the one in Ontario. So is wherever else we decide to do these. But I think just being present and, grounded in the journey of getting there, That's what I was going to say. What we're seeking is today. What we're seeking is this right here. Each piece to this puzzle, which is day by day leading up to it, because we know there's going to be a come down afterwards where we're like, oh fuck, that's over. We had all that anticipation. So that's why it's fun to look forward to things, absolutely, but we need to enjoy the path along the way, day by day, minute by minute, the things we have to do, the tasks we have to, the energy that we're putting towards that is also accumulating, snowballing right now, right? And then, of course, it'll release over those few days and the magic will unfold. Yeah. I'm glad we talked about that, because I can relate to that over the years, too, of being in the careers that I've been in and the businesses that I've had, because speaking on stages, there's a natural high. There's a preparation leading up to it. And then all of a sudden you're on stage and everybody's looking at you and it's an incredible high. And then you come down off of that and it's almost like you're craving the next thing again. And it's depressing. It really is. So I'm glad that we're able to talk through that and just ground ourselves in the fact that, like, no, you know what? Flipping on this podcast and sorting out the technical issues, and once we're done here, I'll probably go outside and sand the wine barrels down again a couple more times, and just embrace that, because that's the fun part. Totally. And it's
I mean, we all need that reminder in life. Again, it's another thing that we go through life. We're always looking forward to something. You know, when you're a kid, it's your birthday or your driver's license or your blah, 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 blah. And so we're always taught to look forward, right? And that's why kids are growing up too fast, and everybody at every stage of life is flying through it. But it's about the journey and enjoying the journey, right? So it's always important that we ground ourselves in that, in whatever we create.
Yes.
But it does bring me to my one of my last questions. Go ahead, Trev.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that if you wanted to wrap up here soon too, because I know, just to be in full transparency for everybody listening to this, we had full intention on recording an hour, and then we had some technical issues right at the start, and the kids upstairs, dogs are about to bark, people in the house. So like, if we got to wrap up, let's do it. But that's the beautiful part about this podcasting and what we're doing right now too, is like, just embrace whatever it is, right? And this has been awesome so far, man. I love this conversation.
Well, I appreciate it. And I do have a couple more questions, but before I go there even, I'd say the reason you are the first guest is because you are the reason I'm recording this in the first place. You're the one who's called me to action to launch this podcast. So tons of appreciation for you for pushing me to do that, because this has been a vision for a couple years, and frankly, I haven't taken action on it. So appreciate you. And of course, you couldn't be a more fitting first guest.
Yeah, that's what I'm here to do, man. Sometimes I don't believe it, but I know I'm here to amplify the impact of the change makers of the world. And a big part of that is them sharing their voice. So starting a podcast sounds like a pretty awesome way to do it.
Hell yeah. That's it. What in this direction now, Trev, that you're headed, do you have an end goal? Of course, we never want an end goal. That's a silly question. But or let me tweak it here, okay? Because I know this is something you've been working on. If you would be so called to share a trimmed down version of it, but what does your average perfect day look like with your new vision? You know, what we've been working on and your new scope on life. Give us a peek behind Trev's perfect day curtains.
I got it written down in this book right here, but I'm not going to reference it. I'm just going to go off the cuff. So that exercise of writing down, like actually writing down your perfect day, was really valuable to me. And for me, I'll just give you a condensed version. It is in our new home in Costa Rica, which we're very fortunate and grateful. And at the same time, we created it, the place that we're going to be living in down there. But it's a beautiful place where I'm up at 5 a.m. and, you know, in 5 to 10 years, naturally the kids are older, so they're able to actually physically get out on a surfboard. But the other piece of that too, as far as like getting up early and you know, journaling and spending good quality time with the kids and going and surfing with them, is also creating these experiences like we've been talking about, and having the kids be involved in the production of it as well, whether it's the video production or whatever, you know. But that's what that perfect day looks like. It's like creating massive impact by creating experiences that have people actually step up and fully fulfill what they're here to do and who they're here to be. And there's lots of details that make up the in-betweens on that, because the fruits and the birds and all of that stuff that are sensory things around me are all a part of that as well. But that's really what it is. I just want to wake up inspired, and I want to wake up and inspire others. And
I love that. That's beautiful.
That's all I want to do. And I want to, and hang out with people that think the same way.
Well, I can see that, and I know that, but thanks for sharing that, because it is inspirational. And if more of us did that, the world would be a pretty special place, more so than it is. Let's hope we're all headed in that direction.
That's the awakening, right?
But I just have one more question for you. If you were to define the conscious creator, what a conscious creator is, or simply living consciously, how would you define that, and how do you relate to your definition?
Good question. I feel like I've changed on this, and I will continue to evolve my opinion on what it means. I think that's one piece of it. But really, it's recognizing in moments when you are going back to old patterns that no longer serve you and choosing a different path. And I can just relate to, and that's based on where I'm at in my journey right now. Because like, I have to give you a shout out and an expression of gratitude too, that I did the cold plunging with the intent on like, give me something extreme to do that's going to train me to like lean into hard shit, and I'll go do it. And then you told me, okay, cool, you got that part down. Now, why don't you sit in the silence with your thoughts in that cold plunge? And I was like, what? That was difficult, man. But it was such a rewarding experience, and something that I don't know if I would have leaned into if not for your encouragement on that. And that's another piece of it. The whole consciously creating my reality is to slow down, get present in the moment, realize that like, holy shit, it's actually really nice here. Like, I like sitting in my backyard. Costa Rica is not where happiness is. It's inside.
100%.
That was huge for me.
I love that. Yeah, big time. It is. It's in slowing down, being present, and appreciating the little moments. You know, I think it was Jordan Peterson that said on one of his many podcasts, right, is everybody has these dreams of perfecting all these skills and all these big dreams and goals. And he's like, perfect the simple things of being kind to your partner every day, being kind to your kids. When you walk in, giving your wife a big hug and your kids a hug, because that is life. That is what matters.
Yep.
And that is what should encompass most of your time, right? And those are the things we should be working on perfecting, because they are truly what affect our beings. So I love that. That's great.
100%.
Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you and lending us some time today. Before we jet off and I run upstairs to take over the world with the kids, where can people learn more about Trev, and where can they keep following along with your journey?
Yeah, my personal site is kind of home base for all of that, just trevorturnbull.com, and everything's all linked up on there. So that speaks to what we have going on with the retreats. It speaks to the cold plunge truth and some of the open invitations that we're going to extend out to people to join us in the future. The Source Collective, the Higher Self video series, all of the things that I've created or co-created in the last 6 months. So it'll all be linked up there.
Appreciate you, my friend, and we'll share those links as well. But have a powerful rest of your day, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
I'll see you this weekend, I'm sure. All right, buddy. All right. Thank you.
Bye for now, my friend. If today's episode resonated with you in any way, or you feel it added value to your day, please feel free to share it with friends, and of course, link and subscribe so that you can be alerted for future episodes. We sincerely appreciate you watching, and always remember to learn, laugh, and love. Until next time.